What's up, baseball fans? Welcome back to the Sox and 4 podcast. My name is Brandon Watabi, and I'm here with Dan Allison, and we're here for the 16th episode of the Sox and 4 podcast, brought to you by Ride the Wave Media and sponsored by 1 in 100. 1 in 100 is the only online raffle website giving fans and experience seekers a chance to win tickets to live sporting events, concerts, music festivals, and more. Whether it be from your desktop or mobile device, winning tickets to your favorite events has never been so easy and fun. Choose your desired event, purchase a raffle ticket into the draw, and you can be the lucky winner. 1 in 100 actually just dropped their tickets for the upcoming Bruins and Celtics seasons, as well as the remaining games for the Patriots, I think. So, very fun thing to get involved with if you're looking to get to a game in the Boston area for really cheap and get the thrill of victory as well and getting the tickets. Nice to have you with me, Dan. We're finally got someone back on the Sox and 4 podcast.
It's about time. We had you weren't by yourself on the show, so
honestly,
yeah, come in.
Co-host, we back co-hosting this thing together. So Sox season ended last night. All the games started yesterday afternoon, and in a series against Baltimore, 3-game series, brought back home. We have a losing record at Fenway. It was already, the deal was sealed before the series even began, but dropping the first 2 games was not a pretty thing. But like I've been talking about, my locks of the week, the Sox team won't get swept. They showed it again this week, this weekend with the series against Baltimore when they lost the first 2 and ended up winning the season finale on a very, very high note with Mookie Betts scoring the winning run courtesy of Rafael Devers squeaking one out of the infield. Did you watch that game yesterday?
Yeah, I was switching between your classic NFL red zone Sunday afternoon football, and then had to get the Sox on because last game of the season might as well check in.
Absolutely, so. It was like watching Kobe's last game versus that Warriors going for that record kind of back in the day. Remember that a few years ago? Yeah, I was doing the same thing. I had one screen set up for the Red Sox, one for the Patriots, but all my attention was on that Red Sox game. It was quite an exciting game considering it's like the last one of the season. We really didn't have anything to fight for, and then you look over at the Patriots and they're barely beating the Buffalo Bills. But it was like that was a fun ending season game against Baltimore. It was a fun, exciting thing. You have Eduardo Rodriguez taking the mound, trying to get his 20th win of the season, something he's never done before, and then he even reached the milestone of going over 200 innings, which was really special. What do you think about Eddie Rodriguez this season? Like, he was something else.
I think, even though they didn't make the playoffs and they came up short, I think this is probably the biggest season Eddie needed to step up in since we had so many injuries to the starting rotation. It was kind of like a welcoming, or a wake-up call to him. It was like, hey, if you got your stuff, if you prove, yourself in this situation, you can, move up in the rotation while these guys are out. And I feel like he definitely stapled his name in the rotation for next year. Definitely a top 3 guy since I wouldn't be surprised if Porcello is let go this offseason. But I loved what I saw from him, and I'm sad he didn't get the 20th win yesterday because of Barnes, but whatever.
Yeah, the whole wins-loss thing in the MLB is really confusing sometimes. Just seeing, like, you look at what Eddie did yesterday and you say, yeah, this guy absolutely deserved the win. And then you have Matt Barnes coming in and something's completely out of his control. Like, it's out of everyone's control except Barnes's on who that win is going to get, like, granted to. And you see Barnes giving up 1 run in the 8th inning and ended up being a no decision for both those guys, which was really sad. Like, you kind of looked at the dugout and you saw like some long faces, even though like this is a fun game. Like, we're still in this game. It's only tied up. You got Brandon Workman coming in to lock it down in the 9th. And then the fun moment, that was if you didn't watch anything else from this Red Sox season finale, you got to watch the very last inning of play. You see Workman go in, get the save. I don't know what his save count is at, but it's up there. Like, he has definitely become the de facto closer at the end of this season and the second half of this 2019 after the All-Star break. He's definitely the go-to guy. He's named AL reliever of the week this week, I think, and ended up getting the save, striking out 3 guys, striking out the side before Mookie Betts was led off with a leadoff walk to start the inning. In baseball philosophy, nothing good ever comes from the leadoff walk. And that held true. That held true last night, and Rafael Devers squeaked a a single through the infield. It bounced off shortstop's glove and ended up in the outfield. And the right fielder pumped and kind of held Mookie on third. But instead of throwing it into the infield, he just kind of lobbed it up, thinking the play was over. And Mookie Betts saw it. Great base running decision and took off to home and walked off the Red Sox season. It was kind of a good thing watching what Mookie Betts did that game. You never know if he's going to be able to come back next year, what the Red Sox are going to do to get below that luxury tax and cut down on payroll. But seeing Mookie Betts get up at home, pound his chest, and just kind of hype up the Fenway crowd, maybe for the last time, it was really fun. I wish I could have been a part of that game.
Yeah, I agree, because that's kind of one of the main points I was viewing that game, because this could be the last time we see Mookie Betts in a Red Sox uniform, and it would have been very sad to see him. If they lost that game, he maybe doesn't do anything in the ninth, but he, it's quite the opposite. He hustles around the bases first to home, hustle play, just out hustles the whole Orioles team, and walks it off. It was a great moment, to end a so-so season.
Yeah, definitely up and down season, and ended it on a high note. But like you were talking about, this may be the last time we see a lot of these guys in a Red Sox uniform. You look at Mitch Moreland, Rick Porcello, even as sad as it could be, even Brock Holt on his way out of Boston, seeing how much these guys are worth on the open market and how much they could be getting paid this offseason. It would be a fun game to go to, just to see it's the one last ride of all these guys that won a World Series championship together for one last time, especially at Fenway. But yeah, I'll call out our other boy from Ride the Waves hot corner in Dylan McDonald, who had a chance to go to that game but ended up not going. And it ended up being one of the most fun Red Sox games of the season, needless to say. But a lot of bright side to this Red Sox team. You see it in this game. Rafael Devers winning the game, walking it off, even though it was based off a base running decision from Mookie Betts. Rafael Devers got the game-winning hit. What do you think about the future of this Red Sox team? I know I've touched on it a little bit in the past few episodes about the young core that we have in place, even though some of them are going to be getting really, really big contracts in the near future. The young core is in place for a while.
Yeah, so I think, definitely this season kind of changed the script of the direction of the Red Sox. Obviously, I think the first thing I got to point to is, the whole GM situation. Dombrowski's now gone. We don't have a guy, so this offseason, obviously, we're trying to find that next guy to fill the role, to make moves for this team. So it goes a little beyond just the players on the field. It's more, the employees of the Sox organization and, the ones behind the scenes. But, it's, coming down to it, even though there's not much bright side of the season, you got to look at, the main points. Rafael Devers, the young stud, only his third season now.
Yeah, he's only 22 years old.
Exactly. He can barely buy a drink at a bar.
Yeah.
And, you can make an argument for him in the MVP case this year. I mean, obviously, he'll probably go to Trout, but he's definitely an MVP caliber player, rising up for years to come. And, now then you move a position to the right or, over the short, and you got, the stud, the veteran now, basically. He's been here. He's one of the longest tenured Red Sox nowadays. Xander Bogaerts, who had just as good of a season as Devers did. And, that's kind of what we expect from him now. He's not just that young kid anymore, and he's moving into his late 20s. A long tenured Red Sox team needs to be the leader of this team, especially, if we see guys like Betts and Moreland and, Holt leave town. So, yeah.
I feel like it goes really unnoticed sometimes, especially some of the newer Red Sox fans that have hopped onto the wagon, especially after we won the World Series last year, is that Xander Bogaerts was on that 2013 team that won the World Series with the Boston Strong bearded band of brothers kind of season. He was there. He was a September call-up that year and ended up being a really important piece for the Red Sox winning the World Series that year against the St. Louis Cardinals. But yeah, that young core is in place. You got that surprise extension at the beginning of the season, right after spring training concluded, with Xander getting extended through the 2026 season. And he's only 26 years old. We got that guy locked down for a lot longer, especially that season, that like you were talking about, the season that both those guys had together. I think last week I was talking about how they were projected to be the only guys to ever have that 50 double 30 home run season, and now like a week later we're talking about how they are like officially the only teammates in Major League Baseball history, the long 150-year span of Major League Baseball, to ever record that feat. And they're going to be on a team together for at least the next 3 years, which is insane to think about.
Yeah, especially, just this weekend we've been hearing rumors about Devers getting extended, which I think is a pretty good idea. Just the thought of these two being a 1-2, punch combo in the lineup for Boston for years to come is definitely something Red Sox can smile at. And another thing is you gotta, like, you think, Bogart's 2013 team, like that was 6 years ago. He's been here a while. Even though he has a lot of experience with the Sox, he's only 26, like you said. He's not like Big Papi where, he's close to 40. Back when he had his retirement season, like he's still got tons of in the tank, and he can be right up there with Devers.
I know. I feel like the last few years we've only seen a glimpse of what the potential for Xander Bogaerts was, and I think this year we officially cracked it open and seen this guy is just entering his prime. He's gonna be this good, if not better, for the next 5, 6, 7 years, and we get to have front row seats to what these guys are gonna do together between him and Devers. And then if you add Michael Chavis to that group, or even Andrew Benintendi, about how this young core is gonna be the center of the lineup for years to come, especially if they can get that extension and with Rafael Devers done, so they can avoid arbitration for the next few years.
Yeah. I think, the Sox are just kind of in a tough spot too, because obviously you're coming off the 2018 team, which, had tons of talent, but now you see, that 2019 team, some dudes moved up, some dudes, stepped back into the shadows, like, Steve Pearce, he barely even played, Moreland, Benintendi, those guys kind of regressed while, Bogarts, Devers, they moved on up. So it's kind of like the Red Sox organization has to choose their pieces and who they want to keep, who they want to maybe move. So it's it's a tough decision.
Yeah, you definitely see that in the decisions that are going to be coming up, especially like you said, the management is in turnover right now with Dave Dombrowski on his way out the door. But the decision between either not even management decision about what the future is for JD Martinez, if he's going to opt in or opt out to his contract next year, and what that means for Mookie Betts and the payroll situation going forwards. What do you think? What team do you think you're on when it comes to that JD Mookie debate on if you could only keep one of those guys?
So I feel like if you ask the average Red Sox fan, the answer is going to be Mookie Betts, because he's kind of, the face of the Sox, the all-star. He's the number one Sox guy in the media. But, there's also a valid point of, let's look at consistency. I mean, Mookie's an MVP-type player, but after his MVP-type season, he kind of regressed. And, you see it back in, I think it was 2016, he was in the MVP race, and then he had a slow 2017.
And he was right back in it.
Yeah, so it's kind of up and down. While Martinez, I think, he hit 300 this year, hit 300 last year. So, I mean, it's really just pick your poison, because these guys are both good. I think it just depends, what's more replaceable. Is I think having a DH is more valuable than having an outfielder, which you could find, more likely in the free agency.
I feel like that's one of the reasons JD might opt into his contract, and you see he's a designated hitter. He's not an outfielder by trade at all whatsoever. So that automatically eliminates half the teams that he could sign to potentially if he opted out. You don't look around the league and see many places that are right there, right within contending distance, that are in need of a really solid designated hitter, that they're also willing to pay that much money to only hit for them and not really play the field at all. Maybe you look at teams that are close in up and coming that have the payroll, have low payrolls that they'd be able to pay JD. Maybe you look at the Chicago White Sox, how low that payroll is, and up and coming team, a lot of prospects, a lot of top 10 prospects on that team, and the potential to sign a veteran like JD Martinez to a basically super deal, because he's already got $20 million for the next 3 years. I don't think JD will opt out of that contract, as sad as it is to say, closing the door on Mookie Betts, but how fluid contracts negotiations are, I don't think JD's going to find another place where that'll offer him $20 million over the span of the next 3 years. And especially if he's already, all he has to do is say yes to $60 million in the next 3 years of his future. It's really hard to see someone even like as talented as JD saying no to that.
Yeah, I like your point there. I gotta agree because like you gotta think, you got this heavy DH, no defense hitter that he likes to play wall ball with the monster. He likes to spread it across Fenway. Then you got Mookie Betts who nasty at defense, can do it all, can hit the home run, can get on base. So it's like I feel like Mookie could definitely thrive in a different market, a different team, a lot easier than JD. Like, what's JD gonna do? Does he really want to go back to the NL where there's no DH? And in the AL, it's just like a puzzle of like who would you like want to go to? So it's like I think JD fits here like perfectly.
Yeah, I think the most likely situation that like when winter meetings do come around, I think JD Martinez will have opted into his contract by then, and then you'll see whoever the next GM, whoever next president of operations is at the winter meetings is Mookie Betts going to be available. It's going to be like that mega deal, or the super transaction between the White Sox and the Red Sox few years ago to land Chris Sale. I feel like the Red Sox might be due for a deal like that in the case that Mookie Betts becomes available this offseason.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. We can move on to some of our favorite moments of the season. I know it was a low season. There weren't a lot of definitely didn't end the way we wanted it to. Not playing another month. We should have another month of baseball to watch, but we did watch the last of the 2019 Red Sox take the field yesterday against the Baltimore Orioles, and we're going to go through some of our favorite moments of the 2019 season overall for the Red Sox, whether it happened last May and June and July, anything that happened this season. I think off the bat, one of my favorite moments was that complete game. Was it a complete game? The one, do you know the one Chris Sale threw? He had an immaculate in there.
Oh yeah,
I think it was
Kansas City.
Yeah, he threw the complete game. I think it was a shutout.
Yeah, I think probably.
I would guess a shutout, and it included an immaculate inning in there. I think that was one of my top moments for Chris Sale. And then another one, two Chris Sale ones right off the top, is that 17 strikeout game. I don't even know. I don't remember who it was against, but he struck out 7. It was against the Rockies.
Yeah, I was actually I was at Fenway that day, and they still lost that game, which was like the funny part.
I think that's like a great example of what happened this season for the Red Sox.
That just sums it up perfectly.
You got this elite, best pitcher, top 3 pitcher in the American League, maybe behind Verlander, and put him up there in the top 3, and still finding a way to lose the game when your pitcher strikes out 17 batters. That is insane. Do you have any off the top of your head about what are some of your favorite moments from this season?
I think an easy pick is the whole Michael Chavis ice horse, like his emergence from this kid from AAA that we've been hearing about to hitting monster home runs. That stretch he had in May, I think early June, he was just tearing the cover off the ball, and I think he had a so-so season after that, but I feel like the kid just showed he has a lot of great play in him, and he has a lot of potential down the road, which is a good sign for the Sox.
I remember again against the Rockies on that same 2-game series at Fenway when he hit that mammoth home run. That they challenged it to see if it even went like fair or foul. Like it was so high you basically could not tell.
I think that was the same game as the.
I think it was the 17 strikeout game.
It was like early, so like people were still like filing into the seats, and then all of a sudden you just see this like ball. Because I'm sitting under the grandstand, so you can't even see the ball because it's like over the roof, and then all you see is this white like speck just float in the background. Like no ways that's the baseball, but it was.
I know.
Crazy.
I feel like it could have been a courtesy home run because if you I've watched the replay of it. I probably watched it 10, 15 times just on repeat, seeing where that ball ended up. It's like. It looks like it traveled to Kenmore Square, the distance that thing had on it. But it looks like if you put the foul pole straight up, I feel like if the foul pole was 300 feet tall, it would have hit. It would have nailed it. Like I think it was like
Yeah.
just perfect. Baseball gods were pushing it in, and it just nails it like a massive foul pole if it ends up that high.
Mhm.
What do you think your favorite moment that you saw in person this season was?
So I was kind of in luck, even though this season. I was there opening day, which
Okay.
obviously you get to see the rings, like that's up there. But I feel like the most special moment to me is the series against the Yankees, and was it late July?
Was it
Where
the 3 home runs?
I think the 3 games, yeah, I was
Okay.
there for the Mookie 3 home run game, and it was just like the thing was going wild. It felt like last season. It had that
Yeah.
same energy. Like Fenway didn't have that energy the whole season except for that night, and
Mhm.
it was special.
Yeah, I totally believe that. Being in just how special that team was last year. I'll keep going back to how magical it really was, and just feeling the energy and the buzz. You really did. I don't think you felt it at all at Fenway this season. It felt probably halfway through July that every game is like super important that they're playing to get back in the race. At that point for the AL East, and then eventually falling out the wild card and even further free falling after that. But just the buzz once Fenway starts buzzing, it's a special feeling. I know that baseball fans from around the world want to visit Fenway and just experience a game there, but I don't think there's anything like it. Like you're talking about when it's stirring and when something magical happens. There's nothing else like it in sports, really.
Yeah, like people come from all over to go on tours of
Mm-hmm.
Fenway. Like when it's empty, it's like it's not the same vibe at all.
Yeah.
Like you got to be there for the 13 inning games, the walk offs,
Mm-hmm.
the intense moments when the sun setting in the background over Fenway, like that. That's what makes Fenway
Yeah.
Fenway be.
Absolutely. I think one of my favorite ones from this season. It was pretty early in the season, actually. It was before the Red Sox even had their rings. It was before the opening day at Boston. It was in Phoenix in Chase. I think it was the first. I don't know. It was the game David Price pitched, and he got an at bat, and they intentionally walked the batter before him, and he roped an RBI single into right field.
Oh
And I was like, that's cool. I've never seen a pitcher
yeah.
score like that before. Usually it's like that was Rick Porcello's job. I don't think he recorded a hit yet this year, or at all this year. I said yet, like we still have a chance. Um, but seeing David Price hit an RBI, that was pretty cool. And then last month for the one of the last road trips of the season, it was the series right after Players Weekend. It was in Colorado where I visited to see Jackie Bradley Jr.'s mammoth home run, and that
Yeah.
game I've been to my fair share of games at Coors Field. I've been there the last few summers, and I have never seen a ball hit that far. Right before I left for the summer, I had my little sabbatical from away from Ride the Wave this summer, and right before I was in San Diego and I saw Max Muncy hit a bomb that I thought was the longest thing I'd ever seen with my own eyes. It probably ended up 15 rows into the bleachers in right field. But then I saw this, like, fast forward 3 months and I see this Jackie Bradley Jr. home run, and that thing rocked my world. I'm sitting in the outfield and you could tell it's gone right off the bat. You're just looking up at it, and I'm in center field, and you still see it going up and up and up, and hits like the rooftop deck there in Colorado. I was telling one of my buddies, I remember I was sitting with one of my friends at that game, and I was like, yeah, this guy, you got him. I think it was a 2 out count for him, and Jackie came to bat and was like, yeah, you guys are good. Probably find your way out of this inning. It's one of our not as successful batters this season, and there he goes, proving me wrong. He heard me talking crap all the way out from the center field bleachers, and he just, oh man, that I can't express. Like that ball flew, and I got to see it with my own eyes.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
There's some fun ones. I think, and then trying all the different foods at the ballparks is a fun little series we started here on Hot Corner.
Ooh.
I'm actually, I think I'm gonna fly. I want to fly up to Seattle. And have you seen those like grasshopper? I don't even like hot dog or
Oh,
something. It's a
yeah.
grasshopper something meal. I want to try that. I think it'd be fun to get that on Hot Corner because
That'd be interesting.
I
I
don't want to
think
eat a
the
grasshopper.
I think the dudes on Nesson tried those. Like, was it
They,
last year? Maybe
yeah,
two
they
years
did.
ago.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I don't know what to think. I had a like diabetes covered churro dog. I had bull testicles in Colorado. Can't go wrong with the Fenway Frank. I feel like that's one of the signatures of going to a baseball game is you got to try their signature foods.
Exactly.
Always fun stuff. But just to wrap up Sox talk, I think probably just looking forward on the future of this team and some of the special stuff that these guys have done this year. I think I got some statistics here about guys that have had career numbers. I think the first one that stands out to me was Christian Vasquez. You see at the beginning of the season, you're carrying two catchers on the roster, and one of them's not named Sandy Leon. It's Blake Swihart and Christian Vasquez. I know a few seasons ago, it might have been last season or the season before, right when Alex Cora got in, Christian was offered that extension, and he signed, I think, 2-3 year extension to stay in Boston. And Alex Cora declared him like he's our number one catcher. Like, we're not going to worry about like the defensive metrics or how much better Sandy Leone is at playing defense and calling games for our star pitchers. But Vasquez definitely stepped up to the plate this year, especially with the fall, or not really fall, but the DFA of Blake Swihart, and then Sandy got called up again, but he didn't see as much time once Chris Sale and David Price both went down with injury. But seeing Christian Vasquez's offensive numbers this season go through the roof. He has, I think, 40 more hits than he's ever had in his career. And then you look at that. We're in the era of the juiced ball, of course. And you look at the home run numbers for Christian Vasquez. His career high before this season was 5, and I think that was 2 years ago, and during the 2017 campaign. And he popped off this year, 23 home runs for a new career high for Christian. And then 2 of those ended up in Philly in the 2 home run game. I think that was really the apex of his season. You see how well he performed down there. The first grand slam of his career, in increasing his RBI total, and another category that, especially if you're hitting the long ball, the RBIs will follow. He hit 71 RBIs this year. That's greater than his career average of 32 before this season. You think dropping Blake Swihart was definitely the right move for the Red Sox this year?
Yeah, because I feel like when you have a catching carousel, you don't really let guys prosper and really develop. And just we see Vasquez get more at bats this season, and he pops off and proves himself. And I think that's just great for him. And if he can be the main guy for the next couple of years, that'd be great. I think he should definitely be that 7th, 8th, or 9th guy in the lineup that can surprise you with some pop at the end of the order. So
yeah, I feel like if the Sox actually did make the playoffs this year, I feel like you remember last year how we had like the Steve Pearce games and the Jackie Bradley Jr. games. I feel like this year it would have been Christian Vasquez. He would have been that surprise X factor and would have carried the team into the next round, wherever that may have been. But I feel like Christian Vasquez has that potential, especially when we have our eyes set for the postseason in 2020. The next 2 numbers I want to look at are the core of the left side of the infield, Rafael Devers and Xander Bogaerts. Just the insane numbers they've had with the doubles, the home runs, the RBIs, the hits, especially the fielding percentages for both those guys. I know Xander had an error in the last game of the season, and then Devers has dropped his percentage dropped the number of errors and increased his fielding percentage every single year since he's been in the league. And he had his career high in hits. I don't know if you know this. It was 108 before this season. And he recorded his 200th and 201st hit of the season in the last game, which that's almost a 100% increase in his, just not even batting average, but just the hits, making contact with the ball, getting on base. And then the home run numbers, of course, his high before this year was 21, and now he's at 32. And then RBIs, he almost doubled the amount of RBIs he had this year. I mean, he's usually hitting behind Bogaerts, right? I think.
Something like that. Yeah, I think so.
Because they're always back to back, or they're going to be the core. Yeah, they're going to be the heart of that lineup for a long time. But I think Devers is the one that normally hits after the X-Man, and Rafi Devers had 66 RBIs last year and increased them to two, or in that, oh, that would have been a bad mistake. He increased them from 66 to 115 RBIs this year. Just insane numbers. You look at the Red Sox offensive stats and compare them to all the teams that are in the playoffs, and they're better than half the teams, like with the exception of the Yankees and the Twins. And the offensive numbers that they're putting up is almost second to none, and they still found a way to miss the playoffs. And then finishing Rafael Devers, you look at Xander Bogaerts, his best buddy right next to him in the batting order. Rafi X had a career high in doubles for 45 2 years ago, and this year increased it to 52 to hit that mark with Rafael Devers in the 50 double 30 home run club. And then in the home run category, 32 home runs is greater than his career high of 23 a few seasons ago as well. And he increased his RBI total from last year as well by 10 and stands at 113 when I wrote that down. It might have changed yesterday. But then you look at Rafael Devers' fielding percentage as at .948, so only 20. That probably accounts for 25, 26 errors on the season, and that's right around where most of the average fielders are. You're definitely not going to win a Gold Glove with that percentage, but he keeps getting better every year. You look at some of the highlight plays he had, some good scoops, some good digs over on the third base side and in the hot corner. Just really great things to watch, and seeing the development from the young Rafael Devers. I think that wraps up our Sox talk. No, I got one more. I've got some of Eduardo Rodriguez's numbers. I've known Eduardo Rodriguez is going to be special since last World Series. I remember I was at Game 1 when Eduardo Nunez hit that 3-run pinch hit home run, and I was so caught up in the moment I accidentally said Erod's name, like that he hit the 3-run home run. I was like making a Snapchat video or something. But the numbers that Eddie put up this year, done the right way, I'll come back to that later, but pitching his career highs and with 205 strikeouts, 203 innings pitched, and falling just short of that wins record of 20. I think, man, that would have been so special if he hit that 20 win mark, have that career record, and then putting him in contention for that top spot of the Sox rotation this year. Definitely the number one pitcher so far this year. And it's just really fun to see what Eddie's doing and what Eddie's going to keep doing for the Red Sox, holding down that bullpen for years to come. For the next few years, of course, he's locked down on contract for the next 2 years, probably arbitration. He's only 26 years old. So Eddie hit that mark of 200 strikeouts this year, and he did it the right way. Did you see the last game in Texas, where I don't think it was the very last game. It was the series finale in Texas against the Rangers, when I couldn't even tell you the guy's name. I don't want to know his name, but he had 199 strikeouts on the season, and Chris Owings popped up like a foul ball, and he told his boys to clear out so he could strike him out. That upset me. That's the wrong way to do it. There is no integrity in that play. There's a right way to play baseball. You're fighting for a win. This game means nothing to either team, basically. And if you're just looking at individual stats, it's low. Like, you do not do that in today's MLB. You look at this is like a Machado move. If Manny Machado was a pitcher, this is the type of thing that he would get up to. What do you think about that dropped pop-up to intentionally get another chance to strike a guy out and hit that mark?
I mean, it's once again, it's a Red Sox Rangers game in September. Like, it's not the end of the world, but at the same time, I feel like if I was that pitcher, I would feel better if I did it cleanly. Just throwing 3 strikes straight, no foul ball cheese at the end. I would want to do it just straight up.
Yeah, it was really frustrating to watch that. Like, we know you're gonna win the game. We know you had a great game, but to intentionally drop a pop-up just so you can strike the guy out, that is wrong. I don't care who you are. I don't care if it's my guys. I don't care if it's the guys on the other side of the dugout. You don't do that. Erod got 200 Ks the right way. But moving on, if you've been paying attention to the MLB Hot Corner and the Ride the Wave media page, we have our we got our postseason picks in for who we think are going to win the American League Championship and the National League Championship and meet in the World Series. And then eventually we made our World Series picks. Dan, who do you pick coming out of the AL and the NL?
I had a rematch of the World Series 2 years ago, so I had Astros and Dodgers, and I had the Dodgers winning this time.
Okay, I think I did exactly opposite of you. So I have the same AL NL champions and the Astros and the Dodgers, and then I have the Astros winning it again. What do you think the Dodgers? Why do you think they have what it takes to beat Houston in a 7-game set?
I think it's just about time. Like, they're due. Like, I feel like this year, we saw the whole Cody Bellinger MVP campaign early in the season. He's a special type of player. You got to remember last season in the World Series, I don't think he even got like in a
He disappeared,
yeah. Yeah, he wasn't even like a name. It's a different squad from last year. You got no Puig, but you got other guys stepping up. That's a deep roster, and that's important in the postseason. But what is also important is pitching, and that's something they've struggled with in the last 2 postseasons. So, they got some great guys. They just have to hold up throughout the whole postseason to get to the World Series and win.
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of feel like Houston is just. You just look at how dominant that starting 3 is in Verlander and Cole and Greinke, just seeing how strong those guys are. Verlander threw a no-hitter. They had a combined no-hitter. And then Greinke was 2 outs away from having a no-hitter. I don't know who is going to be able to make contact and even get on base against those starting 2 guys. I mean, Greinke's had postseason struggles in the past, but look at Cole and Verlander. Verlander might be the greatest right-handed pitcher of our generation. And just seeing what he was able to do in the postseason against us last year and then against the Dodgers the year before in the World Series as well. Some of the picks kind of had me scratching my head here. So Caden, our man from Boston Power Hour, and then Boston Fro, Dylan McDonald, and the Spike King all had the Yankees winning the American League. These are all guys from Boston, I might add. These are all born, purebred Boston boys, and they've had the Yankees coming out the AL. It was a pretty popular decision picking between Houston and New York. I think they're on a collision course, definitely for the American League Championship Series. And who comes out of it really could be a coin flip, seeing how well New York offense has performed. They got Stanton back, Judge's back to his rookie year numbers. But then in the NL we had a surprise pick. The only person to have someone other than the Atlanta Braves or Los Angeles Dodgers coming out of the National League was the Spike King. He had the Washington Nationals not only making the World Series but winning it against the Yankees. And he either knows something that we don't, or the number he's got a man on the inside that knows something that we definitely don't. But I'm not against that pick. I think that might be the sleeper pick to make a really positive run or strong run this season, or this postseason. You look, they're at home for the wild card game tomorrow night. They're against the Milwaukee Brewers. Brewers are a little banged up. You look at what the Brewers have done the last September so far, the last few weeks of the season, red hot coming down the stretch until I think they might have gotten swept in Colorado. I know they dropped the first 2 games before the third. I'm not sure. Do you know the result of that game? They dropped the.
I'm not sure, but.
Okay. Because I know they were still fighting for the NL Central at that point, and Lorenzo Cain went down. He had some unreal plays in that series. Like, he's putting the team on his back, especially after Yelich went down with injury. But the run that team went on to even get in contention for the NL Central on the last day of the season was unreal. They almost forced a game 163 had the Cardinals lost.
Mm-hmm.
But you look back to what I was saying. The Washington Nationals, they look poised to make a run this year. It's new management. Bryce Harper's gone. This is a completely new era of Washington National baseball, and I think the offensive numbers they're putting up, especially from MVP, like legit NL MVP candidate Anthony Rendon, is something to be reckoned with. This guy is putting up MVP numbers. He's leading this team. He just got offered an extension. I think he's going to be the rock. He's going to be the solid core of this postseason run. And they're starting pitching. They've got Strasburg. They've got Scherzer on the mound tomorrow in the wild card game. They've got the starting pitching. I think that the Washington Nationals are a team to be reckoned with this year, and the Spike King definitely knew that better than all of us. And then if they win that wild card game, they've got a date with the LA Dodgers in a 5-game set in the DS, which they also should have a chance in that game or in that 5-game series. It was pretty split. I think the favorite coming out is the Houston Astros from the Ride the Wave people. 7 guys got the Astros coming out on top this postseason as the reigning champ or as the new champs, and then five guys got the Dodgers. 1 has the Braves. GRD's got the Braves winning the World Series. They're too young. That's all I got to say about the Braves. I don't think they're where they want to be yet. I think they need to mature a little bit. I think Freeman is banged up still. He hasn't had the same numbers at the plate. They shut down Acuna for the last week of the season. He's going to not saying he's going to be cold right when postseason baseball arrives this week, but he's definitely not going to be as red hot as he could be if he didn't play down the stretch. And then Caden and Dylan picking the New York Yankees. Come on, guys. We can't be doing that. We are Ride the Wave Media. We're a Boston-based thing. We can't.
On the Sox and 4 podcast, you're part of that. You got the nerves to pick the New York Yankees.
I know. I was telling Dylan he's better than picking the Yankees. He's part of Hot Corner. He's part of the Sox and 4 pod. You can't be picking the Yankees. Come on, man. Come on. But who do you think? I've got a few questions based on the postseason. What team this season or this postseason do you think has the most to prove out of all of them?
I mean, I feel like there's a lot to pick from.
Mm-hmm.
We got a lot of returners coming from last year, with the salt in their mouth still. They're upset with the bitter ending of last season. On the AL side, you gotta say the Yankees. They lost to their rival last year, and not even the AL. And after the season they've had, it would be a very sad sight for Yankees fans to see them get knocked out in the ALDS again. Which that might happen because I feel like the Yankees pitching staff, even though they've dealt with all the injuries, but everyone's coming back. I still think even, fully healthy, their, pitching staff has taken too many blows and is not in the place they want to be. And, pitching wins championships when we're talking about baseball. And then obviously you move to the NL. You got to say the Dodgers. I mean, they're about to turn into the Buffalo Bills if they don't win if they go to the World Series again and they lose. 2 straight trips, 2 straight losses. They want to, give LA some hardware once again after, 2 tough losses, 2017, 2018. So,
yeah, LA's coming up on 40 years of not winning a World Series, so their drought is definitely legit. You got to go all the way back to the Kirk Gibson, that game, the 3-run pinch hit homer after injury. But I would agree with that NL team you picked. I think the Dodgers definitely have the most to prove. I think there's a lot of question marks after last season. They had a lot like the Yasiel Puig trade to get rid of him and bring in some younger guys and call up some players that have had a real impact. You look at Verdugo, the likes in Bellinger, who's had an MVP campaign this year. Those type of guys who will be like the face of this franchise for the next years to come. And after losing 2 straight World Series and being the odds-on favorite to make it back to the World Series for a 3rd straight year, I think that team has the most to prove, and I think it's going to be a massive disappointment again in LA if the Dodgers don't win the World Series this year. What about players? What player do you think has the most to prove?
I mean, you kind of go down the same road as, players that, didn't have a good postseason last year. I mean, look at year. I feel like he wants to prove himself and show the real pitcher he is in the postseason this year. I mean, Kershaw didn't have a great postseason or World Series either. But I think I'm looking more towards players that not just want to like get revenge or like get back, but want to like staple their name into the MLB history books with this big postseason run. I mean, the Braves, for example, great team the last couple of years, but have not made a run in the postseason. This could be the year to do it, to shock some people. Somewhat low expectations. They can just come up and surprise some people, maybe knock out some heavyweights. And that goes for the NL from the wild card teams. The Nationals, as you said before, definitely have the talent and the capability to make a run. The Athletics, they have power, they have firepower. The Rays, and people were sleeping on the Minnesota Twins. After the season they've had, all those home runs they hit. They were competing with the Yankees and the Indians all year, and I feel like even they might not be the top peak of the AL with the Yankees and Astros, but they're definitely in the same caliber to knock them out of the playoffs.
I think that series might be the most fun to watch, even though it might be one of the most underrated ones. I think that series between the Minnesota Twins and the New York Yankees might be one of the most explosive, highest scoring series of recent postseason memory. You look back, I think 3 years ago now, they met in the wild card game. And there was just home run after home run, and we're going to get that for at least 3 games and possibly a 5-game series. It's going to be a fun one between the Twins and the Yankees. But I think my top few players that I think have a lot to prove this offseason, I think Kershaw's got to be at the top of the list. Getting rattled in game 1 of the World Series in years past. I think he's kind of become that David Price, gotten that David Price mantra about, yeah, you're great during the regular season, but what do you have to show for it, like in the second season, like once regular season finishes up, what have you done in the postseason to earn that right as one of the greatest pitchers of all time and one of the greatest Dodgers of all time? He's definitely working his way up there. And then work down the NL into Atlanta. I think Dallas Keuchel not getting signed right off the bat, not getting the deal he was looking for, but ending up in Atlanta, being a go. He's probably going to be their game 1, game 2 guy. I'm not sure yet. But he's got a lot to prove. Let people know that he's a World Series champion. He is the guy that deserved all that money, and he's got, like, unlike Kershaw, he's got the hardware to show it. When he took down the Dodgers 2 years ago. I think offensively, maybe go over to Oakland and some of those guys. I think Matt Chapman is one of the upcoming stars of this league. I think he won a Platinum Glove award last year for his defensive abilities across the league. That's the best defensive player across all of baseball. And he won that, locked it down, and he's also a great batter. We saw it when we visited Oakland at the very beginning of the season a few months ago. This guy is special. I think Matt Chapman, he's ready for the scene. I think he's ready to take that next step and show the league who he is and let people know, and let the people who talk about baseball 24/7 start mentioning this guy's name and the top tier talents in the league. What team? This will be our wind down question about what team you think. Have you made a bracket actually?
I have not yet. I should get on that.
Yeah, we'll make all our brackets and put them on the Hot Corner Instagram. But we're gonna kind of go March Madness style on this. Like, what team do you think has the most potential to bust some brackets around the country?
I think the Twins, just because I just think the NL side is like too open, even though the Dodgers seem to be, the favorite. I feel like, NL is always a question mark when it comes to the playoffs. The AL, I feel like people will ride so high on Houston and the Yankees that they'll just like burst their way through people's brackets. And the Twins could, upset one of them easily with, the firepower they have on offense, especially the Yankees, because as I said before, I am not confident in the Yankees pitching, and the Minnesota Twins could just eat their, pitching for breakfast and, launch some home runs all over the place. So, I think the Twins is my answer.
Okay. I would say I think Babs will love this answer. I think the Washington Nationals. I think they've got a lot to prove, especially with Bryce Harper leaving. Being able to sustain success and actually make the postseason, especially like Bryce Harper wasn't on the team last year and they missed playoff. Or Bryce Harper was on the team last year and they missed the playoffs. He's not on the team this year and they end up making the playoffs by a few games. And I think the Washington team, they've got a chip on their shoulder. Like they know this guy left. He thought he was so much better than the team game and wanted all the money for himself. But I think the Washington Nationals coming, especially if they find a way to win the wild card game this week and face the Dodgers, I think they've got a chance in that series. If you look at the starting pitching, I think Washington might even have the upper hand in their starting rotation. And then out west in the AL, I think Oakland definitely has something to prove. I think everyone thought the Oakland A's last year were just an enigma, something that was a surprise, and it wouldn't happen again. Lowest payroll in baseball, finding a way to make the postseason. Before losing to the Yankees in the wild card game, I think the Oakland A's are something to be reckoned with. They've got the starting pitching getting healthy again. I know Sean Manaea is back from injury. I think the Oakland A's have the most potential to potentially play. I think they'll play the Astros since they're the 1 seed if they win the wild card game. And they're in. It's a division rival. I think the A's have a chance to upset Houston if they were to play that series. And like I was talking about earlier with the Yankees Twins fireworks and the potential that series has to have an insane amount of postseason home runs, I think the same thing would happen with the Houston-Oakland series. You look at one of the series they played down in Houston where there were 35 runs scored in one game and like 50 across the span of that 3-game series. Those teams know each other. They know each other well. They don't like each other. But I think Houston will eventually assert its dominance if Oakland finds a way. But I think my two bracket busting teams are Oakland and Washington, both coming out of the wild card games. So I think it's gonna wrap up our time. I think we're gonna do some locks of the week. So Dan, if you want to start thinking about your lock of the week, I'm gonna make my lock of the week. I'm undefeated. Let's see. I got to think about it for a sec. I'll just do a super easy one I'll probably do a wild card team winning. My lock of the week this week is the Washington Nationals beating the Milwaukee Brewers and ending the Brewers' hot streak, stopping them in their tracks. The Washington Nationals win the wild card game and move on to face the Los Angeles Dodgers. Book it.
Okay. All right. I see that. I'm a flip the script on you and say the Milwaukee Brewers upset the Nationals at home, but there's a controversial call that leads them to win, and then Nationals fans are just irate on Twitter for the next.
So. I love it. So someone's gonna be undefeated. Someone's gonna be winless, or at least 500 next week. That'll be fun. But yeah, thank you for watching and listening wherever you may be listening to this episode of the Sox and 4 podcast. We're presented by Ride the Wave Media and brought to you by 1 in 100. See you guys.